You can say, I don't see it the way you do. And still say, I love you. You can have different opinions and still eat dinner together. You can disagree about decisions without attacking someone's character. Maturity isn't making everybody think like you, it's learning how to remain connected while respecting differences. When you feel overwhelmed, shrink the problem. Sometimes the entire future feels impossible. Bills, family, career, health, relationships, responsibilities, everything piles up. And your mind says, I have to fix everything. No. What is the smallest useful thing you can do next? Drink water, make the phone call, write the list, pay one bill, clean one room, send one email, have one conversation, take one walk, pray for 5 minutes. Small actions restore a sense of control. You don't climb a mountain in one jump, you take the next step. You can build a home that feels safe. Safety isn't perfection. It's knowing, I can tell the truth here. I can make a mistake here. I can ask for help here. I won't be humiliated here. Conflict can be repaired here. What would change if your home became a place where people felt emotionally safe enough to tell the truth? Start with your own behavior. Listen without immediately attacking. Correct without humiliating. Apologize when wrong. Keep promises. Don't weaponize private information. Don't threaten abandonment during every disagreement. Create consistency. Over time, people learn, I can be honest here. That's priceless. Your house can become a place of healing. Imagine walking through your front door after a difficult day and feeling your body relax, not because everything is perfect, but because you know you're loved there. You know you're respected. You know people will listen. You know mistakes can be repaired. You know you can rest. Could you become part of creating that environment instead of waiting for somebody else to create it for you? You can start. Say thank you. Offer forgiveness. Clean your space. Cook something. Call someone. Put your phone away. Pray. Listen. Small acts create atmosphere. Don't wait for a crisis to start living differently. This is where the entire message comes together. You don't need terrible news to wake up. You don't need loss to appreciate people. You don't need betrayal to establish boundaries. You don't need exhaustion to learn rest. You don't need financial collapse to learn discipline. You don't need a relationship ending to learn communication. Why wait for pain to become your teacher when wisdom can teach you beforehand? Start now. That's the opportunity. Not prediction, preparation, not panic. Wisdom, not fear, faith. The question you should carry into tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, before you start worrying about what might happen, ask yourself, what is actually in front of me today? Then ask, what is mine to handle? Then, what do I need to release? Then, who can I love better today? And finally, what kind of person do I want to be when uncertainty arrives? Because uncertainty will arrive. That's life. But you don't have to become uncertainty. You can remain grounded. You can remain compassionate. You can remain thoughtful. You can remain faithful. Final closing, don't let fear steal the home you're trying to protect. Chosen one, if you've been afraid that terrible news is coming to your house, I want you to leave this message with something different. Not fear, clarity. Don't spend tonight imagining tragedies. Look at what's real. If there's something you need to fix, begin fixing it. If there's someone you need to call, call them. If there's a boundary you need to establish, establish it. If there's an apology you need to make it. If you're exhausted, rest. If you're confused, seek wise counsel. If you're carrying something too heavy, ask for help. If you're afraid, pray. And if tomorrow brings something unexpected, meet it when it arrives. You don't have to live it tonight. Your family needs your presence more than your panic. Your heart needs truth more than speculation. Your mind needs rest more than endless predictions. And your faith needs wisdom, not terror. So breathe, look around. You're here. There is still something you can do. There is still someone you can love. There is still something you can learn. There is still something you can repair. There is still another morning ahead. And if you want to continue growing spiritually, emotionally, and personally, subscribe to this channel. Stay connected for messages that encourage you to build stronger faith, healthier relationships, deeper self-awareness, and a more peaceful life. But don't just listen. Apply. Take one lesson from this message and live it. Because the goal isn't to become someone who knows every warning before it happens. The goal is to become someone who can face life with wisdom when the unexpected arrives. So when fear knocks tomorrow, don't immediately open the door. Pause. Ask what is real. Ask what is yours to handle. Ask what requires action. Ask what needs to be released. Then choose wisely. And remember this: you don't have to know everything that's coming to live well today. You don't have to predict tomorrow to protect your peace. You don't have to understand every mystery to walk faithfully. You don't have to control every outcome to love your family well. Just take the next right step, then another, and let tomorrow remain where it belongs, in tomorrow. The final message: choose peace before fear chooses for you. Chosen one, before we finish, I want you to slow down. Not because something terrible is guaranteed to happen, not because you need to become afraid of tomorrow, but because there is something more important than knowing what happens next. Who will you be when life doesn't go according to your plan? That is the deeper question. Anyone can feel strong when everything is working. Anyone can be grateful when the answer arrives quickly. Anyone can smile when the door opens. But what happens when the answer is delayed? What happens when somebody disappoints you? What happens when your plans change? What happens when you don't understand why a certain season is taking so long? Can you remain grounded without having every question answered? That is where real spiritual maturity begins. Don't confuse silence with abandonment. There may be moments when you pray and hear nothing. You ask for direction. Nothing seems obvious. You ask for reassurance. The situation remains uncertain. You ask for an immediate change. The circumstances don't move, and your mind whispers, "Maybe I'm alone." But silence doesn't automatically mean abandonment. Sometimes you simply don't have the information yet. Sometimes life is unfolding gradually. Sometimes you need to make the wisest decision available rather than waiting for absolute certainty. Can you keep moving with integrity even when you don't receive the answer in the exact form you expected? You can. You can pray and still think. You can hope and still prepare. You can believe and still ask questions. You can trust God while admitting, "I don't understand this yet." That sentence doesn't destroy faith. Sometimes it deepens it. Stop asking everyone else what your life should become. There are voices everywhere: family, friends, social media, strangers, comment sections, people telling you what success looks like, people telling you how quickly you should achieve it, people telling you what relationships you should have, what career you should pursue, where you should live, how much money you should make, how you should look, how you should behave. But when everyone else is speaking, can you still hear your own conscience? You need quiet, you need reflection, you need wisdom. You need to understand what actually matters to you. Because a life built entirely around other people's expectations can look impressive from the outside while feeling empty inside. Don't live merely to prove something, live with purpose. Your worth doesn't increase when people finally notice you. Maybe you've been waiting for recognition, waiting for someone to say, "I was wrong about you." Waiting for family members to finally appreciate you, waiting for old friends to realize what they lost, waiting for critics to become impressed. What if you stopped making their recognition the evidence of your value? You don't need everyone to understand you. You don't need every person to celebrate your progress. You don't need your past to apologize before you move forward. Your growth is still real even when nobody claps. Your healing is still real when nobody notices. Your discipline is still real when nobody praises you. Sometimes the most important transformation happens quietly. Let your character become louder than your explanations. You don't have to explain every change. You don't have to announce every boundary. You don't have to tell everybody why you're different. Let your actions speak. Become more patient. Become more disciplined. Become more peaceful. Become more responsible. Become more compassionate. What if instead of proving that you've changed, you simply live differently long enough for the evidence to become undeniable? That's powerful. You don't need an argument, you need consistency. People may misunderstand you today. That's okay. Keep walking. Eventually, your behavior will tell the story. Don't return to what you prayed to escape. This is for the person who keeps looking backward. You remember the familiar parts, you forget the painful parts, you remember the laughter, you forget the sleepless nights, you remember the good moments, you forget why you had to leave. Are you missing the person or the version of yourself that existed before the pain? Be honest. Nostalgia can edit history. It can make yesterday look better than it actually was. If something repeatedly destroyed your peace, don't romanticize it simply because you're lonely. If a relationship was unhealthy, don't return merely because you're uncomfortable with being alone. If a habit damaged your life, don't call it comfort because you're struggling. Sometimes moving forward feels worse before it feels better. Keep going. You don't need revenge to prove that you won. Someone may have hurt you. Someone may have lied. Someone may have underestimated you. Someone may have walked away, and part of you may want them to regret it. But listen carefully. What if the greatest victory isn't watching them suffer, but realizing you no longer need their suffering to feel whole? That's freedom. Let them think whatever they think. Let them tell their version. Let them misunderstand. You don't have to spend your future correcting every false story about your past. Build, heal, grow, love again, create again, smile again. Your life is too valuable to turn into a courtroom where you're constantly trying to prove who was right. Protect your mind from constant negativity. You can't spend 6 hours consuming anger and then wonder why your heart feels heavy. Your mind absorbs repetition. If you constantly watch conflict, you become familiar with conflict. If you constantly consume fear, fear begins feeling normal. If you constantly listen to people insulting one another, you may begin believing cruelty is ordinary. What are you repeatedly feeding your mind? This doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means choosing your information carefully. Know what's happening, but don't drown yourself in it. Stay informed without becoming consumed. There is a difference. Gratitude can change what your mind notices. When you're afraid, your attention searches for threats. When you're grateful, your attention starts noticing what remains. The warm room, the meal, the person sitting beside you, the opportunity you still have, the breath in your lungs, the lesson you've learned, the second chance. What would you notice tonight if you deliberately searched for what is still good instead of only searching for what could go wrong? Try it. Before sleeping, name 5 things. Not huge things, small things count. A conversation, a meal, a quiet moment, a funny memory, a safe place, a person you love. Gratitude doesn't erase problems. It prevents problems from becoming the only thing you can see. You can begin again without waiting for Monday. People often say, "I'll start next week, next month, next year, after things settle down, after I feel motivated, after I have more money, after everything becomes easier." But life rarely becomes perfectly convenient. What small change can you make today instead of waiting for the perfect moment? Read 2 pages, take a walk, clean your desk, call your mother, pray for 5 minutes, write your goals, drink some water, turn off the screen earlier, apologize, forgive, begin. A new life is often built through ordinary decisions repeated consistently. You are allowed to outgrow old identities. Maybe people remember who you used to be. Maybe you made mistakes. Maybe you were irresponsible. Maybe you were insecure. Maybe you were angry. Maybe you made decisions you're not proud of. But people can change. Why should the worst version of you have permanent ownership of your identity? You can become different. You can mature. You can learn. You can rebuild trust. You can develop discipline. You can become softer without becoming weaker. You can become stronger without becoming cruel. Don't keep introducing yourself to yourself through your old mistakes. You're allowed to grow beyond them. The people you love may need your patience more than your advice. Sometimes we hear someone's problem and immediately try to fix it. Do this. You should have done that. I told you. But sometimes people don't need another instruction. They need someone to sit beside them. Can you listen without immediately trying to control the outcome? Ask, "Do you want advice, or do you just need me to listen?" That one question can transform conversations. People feel seen, they feel respected, and sometimes, after being heard, they discover their own answer. You don't always have to be the solution. Sometimes your presence is enough. There is strength in asking for help. Maybe you're struggling financially, maybe emotionally, maybe spiritually, maybe with your relationships, maybe with something you've hidden for years and you keep thinking, "I should be able to handle this myself." Who convinced you that needing help makes you weak? It doesn't. Sometimes wisdom looks like asking, talk to someone trustworthy, seek professional support when appropriate, find a mentor, speak with a mature spiritual leader, reach out to someone who has walked through what you're facing. You don't have to reveal everything to everyone, but you also don't have to suffer in silence. Don't let one bad day become a bad identity. You lost your temper, you made a mistake, you wasted money, you missed an opportunity, you said something you regret, and suddenly your mind says, "This is who I am." No, you made a mistake. That's different. Can you take responsibility without turning one failure into a permanent definition of yourself? Say, "I did something wrong." Not, "I am worthless." Say, "I handled that badly." Not, "I'll always ruin everything." Accountability creates change. Shame often creates hiding. Choose accountability. What you do with tomorrow matters more than what happened yesterday. Your past deserves honesty, but it doesn't deserve unlimited control. Learn from it. Repair what you can, accept what you can't change. Then move. How much of your future are you willing to sacrifice to keep replaying a chapter that already ended? You cannot rewrite yesterday, but you can write tomorrow. Maybe differently, maybe slowly, maybe imperfectly, but differently. That's enough. The final choice, fear or wisdom. So here you are. You've heard the warning, but perhaps the warning isn't. Something terrible is guaranteed to happen. Perhaps the deeper message is, wake up before fear becomes your lifestyle. Wake up to your relationships. Wake up to your habits. Wake up to your responsibilities. Wake up to your spiritual life. Wake up to your family. Wake up to your own heart. What if the most important thing you can protect isn't your house, but the peace, wisdom, and love inside it? That's what matters. When tomorrow comes, live it. Tomorrow may be beautiful. Tomorrow may be difficult. Tomorrow may surprise you. You don't know, and you don't need to know tonight. When tomorrow arrives, meet it. If it's good, be grateful. If it's difficult, breathe. If you need help, ask. If you make a mistake, learn. If someone disappoints you, establish boundaries. If an opportunity appears, consider it wisely. If a door closes, don't immediately assume your life is over. Can you trust yourself to handle tomorrow when tomorrow actually arrives? You can. You've survived difficult days before. You've learned things you didn't know before. You've grown in ways you didn't recognize while they were happening. You're not the same person you were 5 years ago. Don't underestimate that. Your home can become your place of peace. Imagine ending the day differently. Instead of everyone disappearing into separate screens, you talk, you laugh, you pray, you eat, you listen, you forgive, you make plans, you say, "I'm glad you're here." What if your home became the place where people recover from the pressure of the outside world instead of another place where they have to defend themselves? You can help create that. Start with yourself. Lower your voice. Choose patience. Stop bringing every outside battle inside. Put your phone away. Ask better questions. Give genuine affection. Create safety. It won't transform overnight, but small choices repeated become culture. Don't let a scary message become a self-fulfilling prophecy. If someone tells you something terrible is coming, you may begin looking for evidence. A strange noise, a missed call, someone acting differently, a delayed payment, a headache, a broken object. Suddenly, everything becomes proof. What if fear is causing you to interpret ordinary events as confirmation of something that hasn't actually happened? Step back. Return to reality. Ask, what do I actually know? That's your anchor. Don't let imagination become evidence. Don't let fear become prophecy. Don't let uncertainty become certainty. Stay grounded. Your spiritual life should lead you toward love. At the heart of everything, love matters. Love your family. Love your neighbor. Love people who are struggling. Love enough to tell the truth. Love enough to establish boundaries. Love enough to forgive when forgiveness is appropriate. Love enough to stop destructive patterns. What would your life look like if love, not fear, became the primary force behind your decisions? You would still have boundaries, you would still say no, you would still walk away from harmful situations, but you wouldn't need hatred to do it. You could leave peacefully. You could protect yourself without becoming cruel. You could disagree without dehumanizing someone. That's strength. This is your moment to choose differently. Chosen one, don't close this message and immediately start searching for another frightening prediction. Pause. Take a breath. Look around your room. Think about the people you love. Think about your life. Think about what needs attention. And ask, what is one thing I can change today? Not 20 things. One. Maybe your sleep. Maybe your attitude. Maybe your spending. Maybe your communication, maybe your prayer life, maybe your boundaries, maybe your relationship with yourself. Choose one, then do it. Because transformation rarely begins with a dramatic moment. It often begins quietly. One decision, one conversation, one apology, one boundary, one prayer, one morning, One step. Final message. You don't have to be afraid of what you cannot see. Now listen to me carefully. You don't know what tomorrow holds. Neither do I. And that's okay. You don't need a guarantee that nothing difficult will ever happen. Life doesn't work that way. What you can build is something stronger. Wisdom, discipline, faith, emotional strength, healthy relationships, a peaceful home, a resilient heart. When uncertainty arrives, those things will matter far more than predictions. So don't spend tonight terrified of a future you haven't reached. Don't punish yourself for possibilities. Don't destroy today's peace trying to control tomorrow. Pray, prepare responsibly. Think clearly, love deeply, set boundaries, ask for help, rest when you need to, and keep moving. If something genuinely requires your attention, deal with it. If something is outside your control, release it. If you don't know, admit that you don't know. If you've made a mistake, repair what you can. If someone hurt you, heal without allowing their actions to own your future. And if you feel lost, take one small step toward light. You don't have to see the entire road. You only need enough clarity for the next step. One last question for you. When this video ends, when the screen goes dark, when the room becomes quiet, and you are alone with your thoughts, what will you choose to do differently? Will you keep feeding fear? Or will you feed wisdom? Will you keep replaying yesterday, or will you build tomorrow? Will you keep trying to predict every danger, or will you become prepared enough to face whatever actually arrives? Will you keep carrying everything alone, or will you finally allow yourself to receive help? Will you keep living for everyone's approval, or will you begin living according to your deepest values? Your answer matters. Because your future isn't created only by the things that happen to you, it's also shaped by what you repeatedly choose. So choose carefully, choose peace, choose truth, choose courage, choose discipline, choose compassion, choose wisdom, choose faith, and most importantly, choose to live today instead of being terrified of tomorrow. If this message spoke to something inside you, subscribe to the channel and stay connected. Not because you need another prediction, but because you deserve reminders that help you grow stronger, wiser, calmer, and more intentional. And before you leave, take one final breath. Release the fear. Release the need to know everything. Release the pressure to control every outcome. Then say quietly, I will face tomorrow when it comes. Today, I will live with wisdom. And that's enough for tonight. That's enough. You are still here. Your story is still moving. Your choices still matter. And tomorrow has not been written yet.